Welcome back. Today we are going to work on lesson number 2 in the book, Basic Photo Corrections. In this module, we're also going to kind of explore Bridge, which is a great file management system, creative asset management. If you have never downloaded Bridge, you can find it in your Creative Cloud. And this is what it looks like, and you can just go ahead and install it. Okay, so we're going to jump right into Photoshop. This is from our earlier lesson, so we're just going to go ahead and close that one out. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So today, to open from Bridge, we're going to go to File, Browse in Bridge. And what happens is this pops up right over here. And I know that our file is on the desktop, and it's called Digital Skills, and it's under Photoshop. And we are going to choose Lesson 2. Now, the really nice thing is if you use this little piece right down here, you can make it bigger, and you can see we have an ending picture, a starting picture, and a bike. So there are lots of different things that you can do in Bridge that we'll kind of explore as we go through. But today we're just going to go ahead and open up our photo. So what it wants us to do is, first things first, it wants us to change the resolution and size. So in order to do that, we're going to go File, Save As, and we're going to make this our working file. And we're also going to make it a format. We're not going to use a TIFF, we're going to use a Photoshop format, and we're going to save it. Okay, now this gives us a pretty good option to work with. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to make a copy of this background. That's not in the book, but that's what we're going to work on. So we're going to have our background selected. And what we're going to work with today is the crop tool. So we can go ahead and click on this. It's the 5th tool down, called the crop tool. And when you do that, you get your toolbar changes up here. So over here, we want to change this to width and height and resolution. And what the book is asking us to do is it wants us to do 7 inches, so 7 IN by 7 IN. And at 200 pixels per inch. So what that does is it changes the actual resolution of the photo. And then the next thing that the book is wanting us to do is it's wanting us to straighten this photo. So when you have the crop tool selected, you have a couple of different options to be able to make this happen. The first way is that you can literally just grab a corner and turn it, or another way is to click this straighten tool, which is what the book is asking us to do, and you see a little level shows up, and what it wants you to do is click and drag, and you'll see a line come up, and you want to put that on any straight part. It's kind of going to become your horizon line. So we're going to click and then we're going to let go, and Photoshop automatically straightens your photo for you. And then at this point, we are going to use these sides and the corners to crop this image out. And we're also going to click and drag to make sure that the whole image is in there. Okay, I think that that looks pretty good. Now, when you're all done, you can hit enter, or you can just hit this button right up here and you will have it all set and ready to go. Okay, in this part, we're going to do some color correction. So we've done a lot of this in the first project that we did with the self-introduction, so it should be somewhat familiar to you. But in order to go ahead and do our color correcting, we're going to go to the adjustments layer. And in this adjustments layer, we are going to choose curves. And if at any point this comes up and you can't see it, you can just use your arrows and you can open it all the way up. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and zoom in. And the book is saying that as we kind of zoom in, we can use this girl's dress to kind of choose our white. So we should all be familiar right now with the histogram. If you look at your eyedropper tools, they are going to help you kind of sample things. So this is going to sample your white point, this is going to sample your gray point, and this is going to sample your black point. So for this, the book is asking us to sample the white point. And it's saying the whitest point in this picture is this girl's dress. That should be what the white is. So we're going to zoom in, and we're going to use this, and we're going to click on that, and that should give us what the correct whites are going to be. Now there should be detail, but it shouldn't be blown out at all. So this is going to help you get your white balance. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to our adjustments, and we are going to look at our levels. For our levels, we're going to take the black point and we're just going to move it in just a little bit to kind of find that black point that's there, just to where it kind of looks right. And I think the book has it at 15 over here. And then it also takes the middle tones, and if you notice, that either washes it out or makes it darker, and it pulls it to about 0.9. And as always, you can always click right in there, and we're going to change that. And then it says to leave the whites alone. So what that should do is give you a pretty good tonal color. Now the next thing that this book is asking you to do is it wants you to flatten your image. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to select all three. Now you only want to flatten it if you're done. If you're done with all your changes, because once you flatten it, you can't go back and mess with those levels again. So we're gonna right click and we're gonna hit flatten image. And this will take your whole image and make it one. So if you notice, it became just one layer and it included the background layer. So I just went ahead and unlocked it. I know that we have one already saved, so I'm not too concerned about it. But as you notice, everything will be merged into one layer. It's flattened. So the next thing that the book is talking about is to use the spot healing brush tool, specifically for this crease right over here. The spot healing brush tool can be found right over here. We can hold it and you can see Spot Healing Brush Tool. So we're gonna click on that. The Spot Healing Brush Tool is used pretty often for kind of fixing up blemishes and just like little details, as long as it's not anything too grand or large. And what you want to do is you want to have in the options bar, you want a size of about 25. So we're going to click on there and go to about 25. A hardness of 100. So we have that right there. We're going to make sure content aware is chosen. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to work on fixing this spot. So I'm going to zoom in because it's going to make it easier for me. But what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of begin and you're going to cover that up. And it should get rid of it pretty easily for you. Now when you get in here, you want to make sure that you want to work in little pieces, especially if there are a lot of details, because if you don't, then it will look a little wonky. It's okay over here to do it in one big fail swoop, but once you get down here, you're going to want to work in little chunks so that it can really do it without looking off. So like I'm going to work up until this point, and then I'm going to work over here by itself. But even that, you can notice that it doesn't make it perfect. So then we're just going to continue on our way down. And we're just going to kind of erase those little blemishes. Now the other thing that I noticed was this right here. This looks like it was something on the film when it was being developed. So we're gonna go ahead and just take that right out. Super duper easy. There are some other little spots here. But because this is a photograph, we don't want to make it look too perfect. So I think that that looks pretty good. You can't hardly tell that it was even there. So that really does make a huge difference. So that's the Spot Healing Brush Tool. And if you use the content aware, what it does is it uses the pixels around it to kind of fill it in. Okay, so over here in the patch tool, we're going to go and make sure that it says content aware. And the structure, it's asking us to use 4 for our structure. So we're going to use 4. The structure menu determines how closely the patch reflects the existing image. So you can choose from 1 to 7. So now what you want to do is take your patch tool, and what we're going to do is we're going to drag it and outline this person right here, because we want to get rid of this person. This person doesn't belong in this, fit in this. So we're going to very easily just outline, and we're going to also include the shadow because we don't want the shadow to be there. Okay, so once we have that set, we're going to use the patch tool and move it over just a little bit to kind of get it to line up. That looks pretty decent. And then I'm going to hit deselect, and you'll kind of notice that it did a really good job of patching that part. This is a great way to get rid of things that are in your photos that you just really don't want in there. It's not quite perfect. You can still see that there's not quite the right part in here, but to the naked eye, you're not going to be able to notice. All right, the next tool we're going to talk about is the clone stamp tool, which is this one over here. And we're just going to click on that right there. Now, on the clone stamp tool, what it does is it copies pixels from one area and puts it on a different area. So this is really great if you want to kind of fix up some blemishes or if you want to make something disappear. It works out really well for that. It can also smooth out some irregularities. So what we're going to do is we're going to smooth out some irregularities in the height of the bridge wall and the windows of the building. So specifically, let's zoom in there. This right over here, this corner right here, we're going to fix that up to make sure that it lines up right there. And also this building looks just like this building and it doesn't look like this building, so we're going to fix that. So we're going to go ahead and go to the clone stamp tool. And the book wants us to go to 60 pixel brush. So we're going to do 60 pixels with a 30% hardness. And make sure that the aligned option right here is checked. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the wall, and in order to kind of pick where your pixels are going to be, I think that what we're going to do is we're going to start here. We're going to hit Option, and you're going to hit click. And then if you move it, you notice that it's pretty much picking up those pixels and it's going to put it down wherever you want it to. So we're going to line it up right over here, and we're going to just kind of color it in. We're going to pick it up some more and color it in some more. We're going to pick up from over here and color it in. And hopefully by the time that you're done, you should be looking pretty close to what it's supposed to look like. And we can kind of do the same thing over here. We can kind of clean that up a little bit. So we're going to hit Option over here. And we're going to kind of clean up that area. We can hit Option over here and continue that brick. Again, this is not always perfect, but you can normally try to kind of make it look right depending on what you kind of want to work towards. So all right, let's see. I might even take some more from over here. And color in that brick a little bit. I also noticed that there's two pieces here that look exactly the same, so we're gonna go ahead and get rid of that just by kind of maybe from over here. I don't know, I don't like them both being the same, so we're gonna try to clean that up just a little bit. Good. I also notice right here we have two of the same pieces. So what I may do is I may steal something from somewhere else, like right here maybe. And I may bring it over here and fill it in. That looks a little strange because the colors don't quite match, so we'll just fill her in. Anyway, you get the idea. You just want to kind of clean it up a little bit. And you'll notice that as you kind of work through that, it'll just about clean that up to where it looks great. I'm going to go back to the clone stamp tool. I think I just want to kind of clean this up a little bit. Okay, good deal. I think that this looks pretty good. The only part that I'm not really excited about is this part right over here. And we may just decide to clone this part and create I think we're going to clone from up here and just kind of create some more down here. And then the same thing over here. All right, well that is looking pretty good, and you can use a smaller brush or a bigger brush, and you can clean it right up however works best for you. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to work on is we're going to zoom this all the way in to 400%. And as you do that, you can really tell, especially here, how pixelated and grainy this photo is. And so what the book is wanting us to do now is to sharpen the image. So in order to do that, we're going to use filter. And we're going to go to noise. And we're going to go to dust and scratches. And just like that, you'll notice that it actually takes out all of those scratches and those pieces that are really just in the way. So we're going to leave it at a radius of 1, and we're going to hit OK. And if you notice, that makes a huge difference. Takes out all of those dust speckles and really cleans it up. Now the next thing that we want to do is go back to filter, and we're going to go to sharpen, and we're going to use smart sharpen. And we're going to use the boy here to kind of see what we're going to look at. In the Smart Sharpen dialog box, you can make sure that the preview is selected. So we have the preview selected right over there, so that everything that you do, you're going to be able to see right in your picture. So we're going to make sure that the lens blur is chosen, which is right here. The lens blur is chosen. You can choose lens blur or Gaussian blur or motion blur, but we're going to use lens blur. Okay, and in this, it's asking us to drag the slider to about 60%. And the radius to about 1.5. The radius determines the number of pixels that are around where you're working that it's going to be affected by the sharpening. The higher resolution, the higher the radius setting needs to be. Okay, and then we're going to hit OK. And that's already looking so much better. To make sure that we're continuing to save our project, we need to go File, Save, just so that we don't lose any of the hard work. The more you do the file save, the better. There's nothing worse than working for hours on something only to have it get lost in it. Okay, so there's one more piece to this project that I think is going to be really great. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open in Bridge, and we're going to play with this awesome bike. As always, we're going to go File, Save As, and we're going to use Bike Working. And we're going to keep it as a Photoshop document. So what the book is working on with this one is changing this to a color photo. So in the adjustments panel, we're going to go to black and white, which is right here. And it does already kind of change it up for you. But the really cool thing is you can adjust these sliders to change how things look. So if I were to adjust the red, it would actually make the red in the picture darker or lighter, depending on how you wanted to change it. So you can actually take specific colors and really change them to be something really, really neat. So what's nice about this is that you're not just getting kind of a flat image. You can create a lot of depth and a lot of fun when you really work on it. The other thing you can do with this one is you can create a tint by clicking on that. And you can use the eyedropper tool to change certain things. And you can click and drag them to make them just exactly the color that you really want. This is just a great way to take a regular black and white photo and really make it something really interesting and fun. So what I want you to do is I want you to take this picture and this picture, and I want you to save them as your PSDs and also save them as a JPEG and upload them with your last name. Have fun with this last one. It's going to be a really cool one to kind of work with. I can't wait to see what you come up with. I'd love to see some really interesting stuff. Next time, we're going to be working on some other things in the book. So if you have any questions, by all means, reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you.